All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are jumping right into a high-stakes legal drama that has huge implications for the Android phone that's probably in your hand right now. And things are moving so fast, so let's just dive in. So, just yesterday, the tech world was absolutely buzzing. Why? Because Google itself admitted in an emergency court filing that it was staring down this massive deadline, just 14 days to start making some really fundamental changes to its Android App Store. And then, just as quickly as it started, the story took a wild turn. Google was granted what's called an emergency stay. You can think of it like someone just slammed the pause button on a giant legal countdown clock. That 14-day deadline, it's been stopped. For now, at least. So what is all this about? Why the crazy fast deadline? Well, to really get it, you have to rewind a little and look at the massive court battle that kicked this whole thing off, a fight that could seriously reshape the entire app economy.
This all traces back to a landmark victory for Epic Games, the folks behind Fortnite. And believe me, they managed to shake Google to its absolute core.
And the verdict? It was crystal clear. A judge basically declared that Google's iron grip on how you get apps and how you pay for them on Android, well, that's an illegal monopoly. Now, this verdict wasn't just some slap on the wrist. No, it came with a whole new set of rules. Basically a to-do list from the judge, designed specifically to crack that monopoly wide open. Okay, so a huge part of this comes down to something called anti-steering rules. What does that even mean? Well, for years, Google has forbidden developers from telling you, the user, that you could get a better deal or a special offer by paying directly on their own website. The court just said no more. That's illegal. So let's break down what these changes would actually mean in the real world. First, developers could use their own payment systems instead of being forced into Google's. This means they could link users straight to their website. And this is a big one. Google would be banned from cutting those special deals to make sure Google Play is the only app store pre-installed on phones. It's a massive shift in the balance of power. But, and this is really important, you have to get the timing here. Not all these changes were supposed to happen at once. Things like letting developers use their own payment systems, that was on that super urgent 14-day clock. But the really massive change, the idea of a rival like the Epic Games Store operating inside of Google Play, that's on a much, much slower track. We're talking 2026 at the earliest. So, faced with this ticking clock, how did Google respond? Well, they went to court, citing an emergency, arguing that this immediate deadline wasn't just difficult, but that it was actually dangerous. And I mean, listen to the language they used in their filing. They claimed these changes would expose users and developers to substantial risks and jeopardize the entire Android ecosystem. I mean, wow, that is some powerful, dramatic language. So what are these substantial risks that Google's so worried about? Their argument really boils down to three main points. First, malware. They're saying if they have to allow external links, it could open the floodgates to malicious attacks. Second, security, that payments made outside of their system might be less safe. And third, features, that users like you could lose access to things like parental controls or easy subscription management because they're all tied into Google's system. So after all that drama, where do things stand right now? Well, we're in what you could call a temporary ceasefire in what is definitely a very long battle. And yup, Google got its wish. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals granted that request for an emergency stay. They effectively hit the pause button on the judge's order and stopped that 14-day countdown cold. This timeline really puts into perspective just how quickly everything has happened recently. You have the big win for Epic back in December, then bam, the judge issues a final order on July 31st, and literally the very next day, August 1st, Google gets the pause. This isn't the start of the fight, but it shows you the latest high-speed maneuvers in this complex legal chess match. And let's be really clear about this. This battle is nowhere near over. Google has already signaled that it's going to appeal, maybe to the full Ninth Circuit Court, maybe even taking it all the way to the Supreme Court. This pause is really just the opening bell for the next round, which leaves us all with this huge, lingering question. Are we on the brink of a massive shift that's going to completely change how we download and pay for apps?
Or are we just watching the opening moves in a corporate war for control of Android that could drag on for years to come? I guess only time will tell.